Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. How you guys all doing out there? All few of you. There's 3 of you here. I don't know where everyone is, but I hope you guys find the show pretty quick. I don't know. I would do the show even if only one person showed up. I really would. But, of course, I love it when you guys show up. Thank you all for being here and being a part of the journey. I absolutely am thrilled to always welcome you into my world. This is it. And thank you guys for showing up and being a part of it. It is truly the first show since I've been back that I'm flying solo here. I don't have anybody helping me tonight, other than all of you, of course. You guys are all part of the deal. But yeah, it's weird because it's either been Don or Sheldon sitting in that chair ever since I got back from the hiatus and going to my brother's wedding and all this stuff, going back home in Minnesota. But it's okay. It's okay. I don't mind. I love doing these shows solo as well because I love doing the portal. And I am just always absolutely thrilled when all of you guys show up. So thanks for being here. Hi, Geeky Gardens. Good to see you. Wow, I finally made my way in at the beginning. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for coming in. Smokin' Joe, hello. Renee's here. Good to see you, Renee. J-Rock, Rachel gets it right, is here. I'm here. And I'm sure more will be coming henceforth. Portal Mom. Hi, Mom. How you doing? I was wondering if you were out there, but I knew better. You're always going to be watching me. Yeah, Sheldon's on his way back to the wonderful state of Minnesota, so he's on the road now. So as you're sitting here, just, wish him a good journey. It's a long haul, but I hope he has a wonderful journey home. It's wonderful. Hi, Mary Bond. Good to see you. Thank you for coming. Great to see you all. Ivan Essence. Sounds like Evanescence. Ivanescence. Hey, good to see you. Thanks for coming back, Ivan. This is our Night Terrors as usual during the night. No, I missed you too. Thank you. I missed this show a lot. Well, we've been back for about a week now. There was just a week hiatus, but that was because I went to my brother's wedding. But other than that, we've been at it. But I'm glad that you're here now. Hopefully you don't miss many more shows. Although I have to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this is the last regularly scheduled show through this weekend because, as I've mentioned several times before, Don and I tomorrow, bright and early, are going to be heading off to Kelso, Washington for the Squatch Fest 2021 going on over there. We're really excited to get over there and to meet a bunch more people. But if any of you are in that neck of the woods, come on in and say hello. We'd like to meet you. We are not going to be doing a table, though. We're just going to be mingling, but you can find us if you look for Paranormal Portal t-shirts. We're going to be sporting the colors and stuff, so hopefully if any of you happen to be in the house, you will stop or at least look for us. We'll be around. Probably camping in front of Wes's, just trying to get a shirt out of the deal. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, but that's this weekend, so just so you know, don't expect the normal 7 p.m. live shows after tonight because we got a booked up schedule. It's going to be a real whiplash trip for us, but we hope to be streaming live while we're there as well. And so watch for those streams. If you're not already a member, or not a member, but subscribed, then please subscribe and ring the bell so you know when we go live if you're interested in what we're doing. I like doing those impromptu live streams and just kind of going out and meeting people. I have a lot of fun with that. It's just really neat to just walk around and see everything that's going on. And it's our way to bring you to the event as well. I know that it's not, possible for many of you to make that kind of journey or to get out and especially in the wake of all the, craziness that's been going on for the last year and a half. People still haven't got their feet on the ground. I'm not sure if I've got my feet on the ground ever, but we're going and I'd love to bring you with. So if you're interested in joining us for those adventures, by all means tune in. If you can't watch the live streams, just check out the replays because hopefully they're just as entertaining. But yeah, hopefully we'll be doing a few streams over the weekend as we're doing our journey into Squatch Fest 2021. That's happening over in Kelso, Washington this weekend. So check it out if you're going to be in the area. Again, please come. That'll be a lot of fun. Should be a lot of amazing people there as well. Some old friends that we've met before, and hopefully we'll meet a whole bunch of new friends. That's always the best. Oh, so much Jake. Good to see you, brother. Lucky like number fan went back on the pen. Server click party on that. Jake, I always have to slow down and read your posts really carefully because I don't always speak that language, but I've got to figure out what that language is. But anyway, very cool. But anyway, tonight we're going to be doing a strange phenomena. That means we're going to have a whole grab bag. And don't forget, at the end of the show, we're going to get into the trail cam terrors. And I think, a really good one pulled up for you tonight. It's one that I've talked about, I think, years ago on the show. But I ran across it again and went, yeah, this one really kind of boggled my mind. It's an unusual trail cam terrors because it was actually captured during a live stream. But well, just wait. I mean, it's such an interesting thing, and so I'm excited to see what you guys think of that because it's pretty crazy. And anyway, I guess just remember the phone lines are open. Squad in the house. Love this show. Love you guys. Love you too, J-Rock. Thank you, brother. That I'm thrilled you're here. And hi, Ruthie. Good to see you. I guess, hey, Unknown. Good to see you too, brother. Let me just see who's here so far. I know it's very early in the show, but if you're chatting, I'll give you a shout out. If you're not chatting and you'd like a shout out, start typing something or just type hi, and it'll appear on my roster list here. These lists always populate based on who's talking in the chat. So far we got BLB, So Much Jake. We got Ethan Seal. We got Herman Vera, Ivan Essence, J-Rock, Maggie M10, Mary Bond. I'm here, Paranormal Portal. Ruthie Castro's here. Smoking Joe, The Unknown, Warchild. I think it's already not a complete list, though. If I didn't just read your name, just say hi in the chat. Let me see. I know there was more. Renee Cruz, of course. Rachel gets it right. Geeky Gardens. That's the one I didn't see on there. I know I said hello to Geeky earlier, but yeah, very cool. Doug Hovius. Hello, Doug. Good to see you. Jocelyn Richardson. Welcome back. Missed the show. Yeah, we've been actually live for, well, I guess it was just, wait a minute. Yeah, we were live all last week, Wednesday through Sunday. So I'm sorry if you missed those shows, but yeah, we've been live ever since. However, again, this weekend we won't be live because we're going over to Kelso. But watch for live streams because I will be live streaming whenever I can. So. But great to see you all. Thank you so much for coming in, and all of you who are here, and to those who will come, or if you're listening to this broadcast later, thank you so much for supporting the show. It means the world to us. So we're doing Strange Phenomena tonight. Again, remember the phone lines are open. 720-923-0500 is the numbers for fun right here on the portal. If you want to call in, somebody was here last night. It was something Squatch. I don't remember the exact name, but I hope he was going to show up because apparently he tried to call in yesterday and wasn't able to. I didn't see the phone pop, but yeah, I hope he's got the right number, and I hope he calls in tonight. It'd be great to hear from him. But if any of the others of you will be out, have something to share, please, by all means, call in. Love talking to you guys. It's my favoriteest part of doing the portal. So let's get into the fun here. I hope you all are ready, because it's time for bed. Ruthie says, I ain't going to bed yet. Oh, really? Oh, yes, you are. Because this show actually used to be called The Bedtime Stories from Beyond. And the reason I changed it to Night Terrors was because there was that whole controversy with YouTube and making it for children and making sure that you weren't mistagging your videos. And I was like, oh, so I backed right off of Bedtime Stories because there's no way I want my videos being confused for children and then ending up getting beat up by YouTube for, being in the wrong category. So I changed it to the Night Terrors, but I kept the tagline that it's time for bed. So I don't know if that makes sense or not, but it did in my head. So I hope that makes sense to all of you guys. So, Okay, so hold on. Oh, my Akita always gets this worried look on his face when I listen. Well, hopefully it's a good experience for everybody to listen to the portal, but I hope your Akita's okay with it. We got some great stories lined up for you here. Let's see, where do I want to start? There was a couple of really cool ones. This one, I think, is the one that I want to start with. And no, maybe it was this one. Yeah, it was this one. This is an article that we were going through a while ago, and I kind of walked away from it because I thought there was like 3 stories on this that were repeats, but I've read ahead and I don't think the rest of them are repeats, but let's check it out and see. I always try to be real careful not to repeat stories on the show, but I have to tell you, when you research paranormal and you look for actual encounter stories and stuff, they're like copied all over the place. And so even though I try to bookmark and make sure that I don't revisit certain pages, sometimes those stories from pages are copied on like 5 other sites. So I do stumble into them. It's always my deepest regret when that happens, because I don't want you to think I'm just remilking old stories here to provide content. I'm trying to keep it original and new as much as I can. But anyway, this story is coming from ranker.com, and it's a list they got. It's called Creepy Stories of Encounters with Humanoids. And it was written by Amanda, what is that name? I got to scroll up to the top because that's not really. It's written by Amanda Sedlak Heavener, and it was updated last on September 2nd, 2020. So that's the page that we're going to be pulling this from. Wait a minute. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to put it up on screen here and let's dive into it. All right. So, brother mistook a demon for his pet dog. Eesh, I don't know. That's not the kind of mistake you want to make, but maybe if it's dark, it's hard to tell. This was apparently submitted by someone named Main Rift, and they said, this happened to my brother, not me, but I remember the night it happened, and it still gives me chills to this day. I can still remember the sound of him running up the stairs, screaming, "No, no, no." The look on his face and him shaking uncontrollably. What happened about 15 years ago, and this is exactly how he still explains the story to this day. Our parents' old house had a den, which had a few couches and a bathroom and a TV and a laundry room. My brother and I had all of our video game stuff down in the den, our computers, etc. It was basically a room that only we used. One night, after a late night of video games, we both took a couch and watched a little TV before calling it a night. Well, I fell asleep and woke up later and went up to my room, leaving my bro still sleeping on the other couch. The couch he was lying on was against a wall. While laying back on the couch, you could see the TV, and if you look straight over your feet, you could see a very small hallway and a bathroom door, which was open at the time. We had a dog, Candy, a small Springer Spaniel. My brother said he awoke to a noise in the bathroom. The lights were all off in the house. Only street lamps and moonlight prevented it from being pitch black. And he told me that the noise was a growl. And he knew it wasn't the dog, but in the moment, he so hoped that it was. He said he quickly shot up from the couch, from the laying down position, and could clearly see a small black shadow running in circles on the bathroom floor. The bathroom floor was tile, and you would definitely be able to hear the dog's claws as they touched the bathroom floor, especially at the speed it was running in circles. But my brother said he heard nothing, so he then called out the dog's name, hoping it was her, and that it would stop doing whatever it was doing. "Candy," he yelled. And as soon as whatever it was heard that, it stopped immediately. He then heard what he explains as a gurgly growl. At that point, he knew what he already knew. It wasn't the dog. Whatever it was started growing larger and larger, soon taking up the whole bathroom with its size. It's funny now, but my brother explained the creature looking like Doomsday from DC Comics. Not to discredit the whole story by saying he looked like a comic book villain, but to a 14-year-old, this was the best comparison to what he saw. He said that he didn't remember how he was able to move so quickly, but he ran up both flights of stairs screaming, "No, no, no." He woke up the whole house. Sometimes it still keeps him up all these years later. He was never visited by the creature again. Me being into this sort of thing, I was never able to find something that could possibly be what he saw. It had to be supernatural, and it was in this house and then disappeared. My only explanation is it was a demon of a sort, but any help would be appreciated. Thanks. Those are tough ones. Those just one-off events. I mean, it's hard to know exactly what's going on. Is it possible that there are spirit portals that exist in our world, maybe connecting this world to another version or another world, maybe a lower vibration, maybe a higher vibration? I don't know. But is it also possible that these are transient, that maybe they aren't in a fixed position, but they can shift and move around? These portals, I mean. And if that's the case, maybe they're very naturally occurring and just part of the biorhythm of the planet, or at least our reality. And maybe they aren't just anchored in one spot. And so for whatever reason, it may have appeared in their bathroom and something like this came out. And I'm not chuckling because it's funny, because it's really pretty creepy to think that there was some kind of being or creature in this house terrifying this kid. But at the same time, it was a one-off event. And he was fine. Never had a continuation of that experience. Never got any attachments out of it. Nothing really dark and ugly. So I guess, it is what it is. But as cliche as that saying is, but it's hard to say. I don't know. Those are really conundrums, because why was it just one time? And why didn't it come back then? And who knows? Any number of reasons maybe. But just some thoughts on the topic. Okay. Next is a shorter one, and this one's from Sniggity, and it's pale-skinned and dark-eyed humanoids. Sounds like black-eyed kids, but let's see. An investigation/shamanic group on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, Oglala, Lakota, South Dakota, was called to investigate and bless a home. The incidents began when two sisters observed a black-eyed boy outside the home. Black-eyed kid, see? Not long later, a group of ashen white-skinned children with black eyes were seen congregating around the property in an attempt to interact with the other children living there. The first two occasions, there were only two of them, and they asked to be led inside the house to get food. The third time, a third one showed up, and this time they asked for blood. Eesh. Well, they were never granted access to the house, and the children described their voice as not normal, robotic, and monotone. Pets also went missing around this time and around the property, and the parents of the children recalled seeing these spooky children too. They also claimed to have noticed strange events around the home, including poltergeist activity and the sighting of, on at least two occasions, strange entities that were later thought to be alien. Yikes. Well, I hope the blessing was successful. That's, the black-eyed kid phenomena is really a bizarre one anyway. But I really think that whatever became our modern version of, vampires, a lot of that legend is probably from people experiencing these black-eyed kids. I think so. And there are black-eyed adults as well that people have seen and experienced. Much more rare, although black-eyed kids events are pretty rare as well, but even more rare are sightings of the black-eyed adults. But they seem to have the same MO. They can't just come into your property. They got to be invited. And I think that's pretty huge. And they also seem to compel people. They reach out with, whether it's a telepathic mandate or something to try to override a person's better judgment. It is interesting that people that claim to have encountered black-eyed children are oftentimes, they talk about, initially they see children and then some kind of primal fear takes over in them. And maybe that's a spiritual response to being in proximity to basically what I can only suppose is some kind of predator, whether it's otherworldly, whether it's a spiritual thing, or whether it's, something else. It's hard to say, but but we seem to have some component of our latent ability that knows what these things are and tells us to stay the hell away from them. Or it's guardian angels, spirits, whatever, warning us. Who knows? But at any rate, those are really weird. Really, really weird. A lot of people would say, no, they're just a fabrication of Brian Bethel. You know, he wrote this story, and then all of a sudden everybody's seeing them. Well, I think that's just overly simplistic, because here's the thing. If there's anything we know about paranormal and cryptid experiences and Fortean experiences and supernatural events, oftentimes people don't want to talk about them because they don't have a point to correlate that to in their minds. There's nothing that they can relate it to, and there's probably nobody they know that can understand the events, because the people themselves don't understand them. So I think largely nobody talked about these events, although they were probably experienced much before Brian Bethel wrote his article. But once people had that article, then people came out of the woodwork, and that's not unusual. I mean, that happens with this show. People call in and talk, and other people hear it and go, wow, somebody else experienced something like I experienced. And I get written to all the time of people that are so thrilled to hear a testimony that was shared by someone that had an experience. Like, I thought I was alone. I thought that was the only one. I didn't know what to do with this. But when I heard it, then I just felt compelled to reach out and say, yeah, I've seen this stuff too. That doesn't mean they wanted to be a guest. They didn't want to be on the front page about it. But I think that could very well be what happened with the Black Eyed Kids. All these people had, maybe several people had these events happen. But what do you do with that? I mean, how do you even share that with people without sounding absolutely batty? Because, most people don't have a real in-depth paranormal knowledge to work with. So most of this stuff is brand new to people when they experience it, and they don't want to acknowledge it. They don't even want to think about it. They want to just forget about it. So that's my opinion on that, just for whatever that's worth. But Bigfoot is usually the cause. Oh, Brad. Interesting thought, Brad. That's pretty normal. It has to do with interdimensional space-time gap. Bigfoot is usually the cause. Yeah, that could be. That's another idea. I'm not necessarily sure what that was in reference to, but yeah. Talk about my experience. I will let you know. Yeah, I'd love to hear about it, Unknown. Absolutely. I could write 3 books of experiences. Please do. Please come on the, email me and talk to me about what you've experienced, if you wouldn't mind being a guest. The other thing is I'm okay with people being anonymous. If you've had stories, but you're not really willing to attach your name to it, but you'd like to share what you've been through, email me, and we can certainly keep your identity confidential. You can use an assumed name if you choose. Just please don't fabricate stories, because I don't want to be perpetuating any of that garbage. I would like to, everything I share on the show, I try to make sure that at least it's supposed to be real. Ghost Magnet says, I have discovered that spirits have power over your fear, but then you have power over them. So my experience has been to set boundaries that they cannot scare me. Absolutely. Most people, and it's not exclusively effective, but a lot of people, when they just address spiritual entities that are bothering them, say, knock it off. I'm not okay with this. You don't have my permission, and you need to stop this. 99% of the times it does stop. But then there's always the other percent, and then maybe it's not just a spirit. Maybe it's something much more powerful that doesn't really feel it has to listen to you. And that's another issue entirely. But that's often my first advice that I give to people that are dealing with paranormal events that they don't know what to do with, is claim your territory. This is my house. I'm supposed to be here. You're not. And then if you want them out, tell them to get the hell out. If you're okay with they're there, tell them the rules for being there, and they need to honor that. And a lot of times the activity really does settle down, and in many cases just stops completely. So that is a great idea, Ghost Magnet. Thank you for sharing that. I tried to email you a while ago, brother. I'm sorry. Sometimes I get absolute inundations of emails, and I try really hard to get back to everybody. But if you've ever emailed me and I haven't responded, please just re-email me. I'm thrilled if you do that, because it really helps me. So, I'm only one person trying to keep on top of all the things that are the portal. And Don certainly helps out a bunch. I'm not trying to martyr myself here. I'm just trying to say, look, this show has grown, and there's a lot of things that I have to see to. So if I don't respond to you, it doesn't mean that I'm not interested. It just means that somehow it's just slid into a side pocket of my attention span. So please feel free to email me again. So the next one is a weird encounter while camping. This is from Bad Reputation 2611. Let me get a drink, if you don't mind. I got to wet my whistle. Thank you, Brad. I appreciate your understanding, because I don't want anyone ever to feel like, well, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. I do really, truly care. I end up being really scattered a lot of times, and it's more of a personality defect than anything, but it's not for lack of caring, just so you know. But thank you for understanding. I do appreciate that. All right, so weird encounter while camping. It says, when I was camping with my family several years ago, my father and I were out walking in the dark with a flashlight when we heard a kind of chirping noise, like a person doing a terrible imitation of a bird call. We stopped and shined our flashlight around and then up into the trees, and the beam landed on something, maybe 3 feet tall, standing up, a humanoid crouching with its hands holding onto the branches. It was hairless and very pale skinned, pretty much white. Sounds like a rake or a ghoul. Its head was abnormally large. Yeah, it sounds about right. With 2 huge eyes and bat-like ears. We only saw it for a split second because my dad jerked the flashlight away when he first saw it. And when we tried to find it again with the flashlight, it was gone without a trace. I asked my dad if he had seen that, and he had. We were both very perplexed by it. When I've told other people this story, they speculate that it could have been an owl or some other animal, but my dad and I are both fairly experienced outdoors and sportsmen, and we've both seen anything that looked like that. We've never seen anything that looked like that before or since. I went back and double checked with my mother, and she's fairly certain this took place at a campgrounds near Stanley, Idaho, at Lola Creek. I don't know what the hell that is. I wonder if that's in my neighborhood. Yeah. At a campground. And she also told me that we left early because there was something moving around the campsite at night that spooked my dad, which I only learned just now. Oh yeah, rake things are pretty terrible. That's another one, and I've said this on the show again before, so I'm sorry if this is redundant for those of you who've been with us for a long time, but I do think that the rake is just a renaming of an older phenomena, and that older phenomena, I think, could be ghouls. Ghouls, and they were these weird pasty skinned creepy creatures that used to be found in graveyards feasting on corpses, and it makes you wonder what the hell is going on there. But yeah, what a horrible thing. And so in all descriptions, they really do match one for the other. And I just think that it's not a new phenomena. It's just a new name. Again, the debunkers and the skeptics say, well, that's just from a creepypasta. That's, much like the Slender Man thing. But I don't think that's the case. I just think it's a new buzzword, a new name for a phenomena that's been around for a long, long time. So it's pretty interesting. Flying Purple People Eaters. Hey, I remember that song. We used to sing it all the time. I was a Vikings fan, and it was used for the Minnesota Vikings for a long time. Ghouls are pasty. Yeah, that's what I understand, paradoxes. I've never seen one, though, and I don't want to see one, to be honest with you. I think they just sound creepy. They just sound creepy. If I saw one in a tree, I would have been packing my tent right there. I've been like, no, we're done camping here. You don't know what they're going to do, but you hear the horror stories. But anyway, the next story... The bell. Oh, cool. Just got a text message from Bear. That's cool. Bear of Bigfoot Outlaws. So you can expect an appearance by the Bear sometime in the near future, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I'm going to say. I haven't organized it yet, but we'll be getting him on. He's a great guy, just a wonderful person, and he's been on the show a few times before. He's of the Bigfoot Outlaws, and just a riot to talk to. A great guy, knowledgeable, very intelligent. So, all right. That's actually funny, Paradox. It's not being shown now, but I'll show it. Whatever. That's pretty hilarious. So this is a crawler, inches from his face. A crawler. Wonder if this is another pasty white skin thing. So this is from Crushed Newt. So this encounter happened about 2 years ago while I was living with my parents in Texas. At the time, I was waking up from a short nap and did not see it as anything unusual. I just figured it was some kind of partially dream or something of the like. I was napping on my bed. At the time, I had a futon, so I wasn't too far off the ground in the middle of the day. I can't remember the exact timing of when this took place to save my life. As I opened my eyes, I saw for only a second the image of some white humanoid creature kneeling on his haunches, looking at me. Oh, dear God. Yeah. It couldn't have been all that tall since its eyes were only inches above my bed. So I could see the top of its knees, which it was resting its head against. And while I can't remember many details about its face, I knew somehow that it wasn't entirely right, for lack of a better term. I can't remember if it even had any hair on its head or the color of its eyes, but I can remember that its skin was very pale, and it looked as if it were just skin and bones. Yeah, that does sound like a rake. I don't know why the image of this creature was so vivid, even though I only saw it for a second, but even to this day, it stands out, and I've only recently been able to give it a name to this thing since I saw a post on this sub describing these things of creatures, these types of creatures as crawlers. Okay. Yeah, that's creepy. Creepy as hell. Again, rakes, ghouls, crawlers. I don't know. They all kind of have a similar description. What are they? I don't know. This almost sounds like some kind of extra dimensional thing or a dimensional shift or something. And again, I'm just speculating, but if it's only there for a second and gone, that doesn't wash usually. Usually things don't work out that way. All right, the invasive roof creature is the next one, and this is from Reminiscence. I'm an 18-year-old male that has had 2 strange encounters in my life so far. The first was seeing a UFO, and the second is what I'm about to share here. It was around 1 a.m., and I was gaming on my PC since it was a weekend, and I didn't have to worry about waking up for school. I stood up from my desk and made my way to the bathroom. I did my business as usual, but I noticed that the window was open. And it was one of those windows that you have to slide open and close. Since I live in Australia, it had a mosquito netting. Although it was pitch black outside, during the day, it had rained on and off multiple times, and with the wind was picking up, I thought I would go close the window in case it rained again. The window was located directly above the bathtub, so in order to reach it, I put 1 foot inside. This window would always require a bit of effort to close, so as I started to close it, it made its usual sound as it dragged against the frame. Now, before I get to the scary part, I have to explain the layout of the house. This is my old 2-story apartment complex, and outside and under the window is a little roof overhang which shields the back door. As soon as the window started to close, I heard 2 loud footsteps banging on the roof, and then for a half second I saw the silhouette of a human being, entirely black, go past the window as if it had jumped. I heard no landing sound, but this was entirely possible since the fence to the left of the bathroom was about 2 meters away and had tall grass on the other side. So I know it was really dark, but I swear this wasn't a bird or a bat with its outstretched wings. It was definitely a humanoid shape and much too large to be a possum. I instinctively jerked back out of the bathtub and ran to my parents' room screaming and waking them up. Now this is the part that makes me feel sick in my stomach. My parents' curtains were open, which is normal for them, But this means that the creature would have been staring in at my sleeping parents and 3-year-old sister, since their window is rested slightly above the overhang previously mentioned. I don't know how I managed to sleep that night. If this was truly an alien, then it was only 1 meter away from me through a wall and a window. Yeah, that's creepy. I don't know. That's the part that really throws you for a loop. Bumper sticker would be cool. I love Paranormal Portal. Bumper sticker would be cool. Well, that's a great thought. We'll have to get some bumper stickers made. I don't know how many people would want bumper stickers, but I think that'd be wonderful. That would be really cool. We got t-shirts and stuff. Check out Teespring. We do have stickers there. I don't know if they would last on a bumper for how long, but it could work. I don't know. I want to do window clingies or something. I think that'd be fun. But anyway, death hugs. I'll show your death hugs, Ethan. I don't know why it's not showing. There it goes. Okay. I don't know why it's asking for all this approval now for these posts. Never used to do that. None of these are terrible, so I don't get it. But anyway, interesting story all the same. There it is again. Ethan, what the hell are you doing? I don't know what you're doing, Ethan. I think I'll leave that one hidden. Oh, someone else showed it. Never mind. I don't know why it's asking for, like in the chat. So on YouTube chat, just for those of you that don't know what the hell I'm talking about, there's apparently a filter or something that's on there. I don't remember enabling it, but it'll take posts that it might think are questionable and hold them, and they need to be, approved. Now, most of the time we don't have any kind of posts like that here on the show. And most of those that I'm seeing are not that risque, but maybe YouTube cranked up their algorithm so it really is really stringent on those kind of things. But at any rate, you mods, if you see those come up, if you think they're okay, just go ahead and clear them. If they're problematic, then by all means, leave them hidden. But anyway, here's another one. Odd man spotted behind a shed. What time we got? 7:39. We're doing good. By Shane Ofan. Almost every week, my wife and I go to our friend's house on Friday nights. A few months ago, one of my friends said she had been noticing lights in the sky. She said they were multicolored, red, green, white, and blue, in a cross pattern. One night we were hanging out and I had to relieve myself, so I walked to the side of the shed and did what needed to be done. And when I looked up, I saw him. He was about 4 feet tall and pale white. A lot of pale white tonight. He had a normal size head for a creature his size, not the stereotypical big-headed, big-eyed gray, and his beady eyes. There was no clothing, and while I saw no genitalia, I just sort of know he was a he. When he saw that I noticed him, he scurried away behind the shed. Well, I went after him, but when I rounded the corner, he was gone. Since then, I have seen him one other time in the same situation. Neither time was I afraid. In fact, I felt a certain level of calm and peace. The way you do when you walk out of a church or have had one drink past being buzzed. I don't know who or what he was, but I want to. I don't know. That's very strange. Could be an extraterrestrial, an ET. Never know. Here's a weird imaginary friend and stalker. This is from, what the hell kind of name is this? Anyway, you can read it on the screen. I'm not going to say that out loud. I don't know. It just sounds terrible. When I was 10 years old, I had this bizarre ghost girlfriend. I don't remember what her name was, but nowadays I just refer to her as Purity. So Purity was a pale-skinned girl about the same age as me. She has black greasy hair, pretty blue eyes, and slightly dingy white dress that looked as if it was made of torn lace. She always mentioned being cold and being from some place with a lot of fog surrounded by trees, living in a half-destroyed house. And I remember what the house looked like. It was burnt down. And I specifically remember one room having black and white tile, possibly the kitchen. However, my strongest memory of her is how cold she was. She always complained about it. What was so unusual about her was the fact that I was a really innocent child. I was lonely, sure, but there was no way I would have been able to imagine her, since I was just too innocent at the time to make up someone as depressing as her. Sounds like a lot of fun. She left me after maybe a month or two. And when I was about 16 years old, memory of her came back to me like a ton of bricks. At the time, I felt a heavy sense of guilt, as if I somehow killed her and was borderline obsessed with this girl and who she was. I slowly gave up, but I never quite got her off my mind ever since, and I'm 18 now. She seems to have come around whenever I'm depressed, and she won't stop accusing me of somehow abandoning her when she needed me the most. I can't see a picture of a girl in a white dress without a memory of her rushing back to me, and despite all of this, I, for some reason, don't want her to leave me. That's kind of Twilighty. I suppose her memory is kind of comforting to me, as she was the only friend I had at the time. Excuse me. And it's making me sad that I'm slowly losing memory of her, and I fear that I may have already forgotten key parts of her. The reason I know that her memory is fading is from rereading my old diary entries that mention her and finding key aspects of her that I've forgotten. This is normal, as I've had memory issues throughout my life, and to this day, I'm still not really sure what she is, though I'm open to any suggestions as to what she might be. Well, I don't know, stating the obvious, I guess she could be a real spirit. I don't know. Kids see that stuff much more readily than we adults do. Oh, here's another one. Shadow person. Sorry, got all the fans running. Sorry if the broadcast is a little noisy. I try to keep it as quiet as I can, but it's also like it's been an oven in northern Idaho where I live, so I had to keep the air running and the fans blowing. So I hope that's not too distracting. You can really tell when I mute. Yeah. So I apologize for that. So this is from an anonymous Redditor. This happened in 1985, about 4 years before people started getting internet access. We had never heard of shadow people or anything remotely similar. And if we wanted to learn about something, we went to the public library. And I took every opportunity to read about ghosts, vampires, demons, you name it. God, I could have written this. It's very much like my younger life. I grew up in a very negative and angry home, so in retrospect, I can see how something like this came to be in my home. A friend and I were hanging out at my house, and we decided to leave, and I was 2 years under the driving age, but Tom had his license and his own car. We left the house through the kitchen door and into the backyard, from which you make an immediate right turn to go through the gate. And if you're standing on the driveway, even though nobody else was home, we typically didn't bother locking the kitchen door because it was a safe, quiet neighborhood and the door was behind a gate. We went to his car, but as I got in, he remembered that he had forgotten something inside. Well, I waited in the car as he went back in through the gate and into the kitchen. The kitchen was what I believe is referred to as a shotgun kitchen. When you went in through that door, you could see the whole length of the kitchen and down the entire hallway that ended in a bathroom. Down that hall, the doorway to my bedroom was the first door on the left, and immediately across from it was the doorway to the den with the TV and a sofa. Not more than 10 seconds after he went in, Tom came flying through that gate faster than I thought he could move. His skin had gone pale, and he was thoroughly terrified. He jumped in the car, turned it over, and hauled out of my driveway, and he wouldn't answer my questions about what the hell was going on until we were gone. He told me that when he went into the kitchen, movement down the hall caught his attention, and he said he saw something come out of my room, cross the hall, and enter the den. He said it was shaped like a person, and it reminded him of a ghost, except that instead of being white, it was black, and that's what scared the hell out of him. I had known Tom for a couple of years prior to this, and being a liar of any kind was just not part of his personality. He just wasn't the type to make things up. I lived in that house for 4 more years and never saw anything like that myself, but Tom never set foot in it again. He moved away a couple of years after this happened, and we lost touch, but a year or two after we moved, he tracked me down and showed up one night while me and some friends were shooting pool and drinking beers. And I asked him about it, and he stood by his original account. I believe him. Yeah, now that really kind of correlates what Don was able to find from a Coast to Coast episode dealing with shadow people. And there was a shaman on there, and he said that actually shadow people aren't negative. They're not horrible things. According to his customs and teachings that he had heard, is that shadow people are more of a utilitarian manifestation, and they do feed on negative energy, but that's not a bad thing. It's almost like a cleansing, for lack of a better term. Like they come in and draw off all that negative dark energy, and then for whatever reason it's good for them, but not for us, obviously. But I think that's kind of cool. Now, it really does correlate with that, according to the narrative of the story, because the person said, look, I lived in a really dark and negative household. We were, it doesn't sound like a real happy place to grow up. And certainly that would be a place that if these utilitarian spirits are out there, they would be attracted to a place like that, right? So that does stand to reason, I guess. Stacy Lynn, good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. And Brooks, good to see you as well. Very cool. Anybody else come in that I didn't? Slowpoke's here. Hi, Slowpoke. Good to see you. I'm just looking at who's chatting and want to say hi. Okay, here's another one. The alien in the room. This is from Broke Art Grad. Broke Art Grad. I almost went to college for art when I was a young lad. I probably would have loved the schooling and loved the training, but I don't know if I would have loved the getting a job part in art. But anyway, Rachel says, like a plant takes in carbon dioxide, a shadow person consumes negativity. Yeah, exactly. I love you too, Stacy. Thank you. Ghost Maggot says, I agree that shadow people are not always negative. I think some spirits can just manifest that way. And I think you're right. I think that it's not like us, where when we show up in a room, we look like us. We're encompassed, in this physical form, and it changes slowly over time. But for the most part, we look the same every day. But I think spirits manifest, whatever they feel. If they want to not be observed, they might manifest shadowy and dark. And they can also manifest as however they want to. They could look 7 feet tall, or they could look like a small person, I suppose, or just an orb. So I don't think that they're under the same restrictions as we are. But yeah, great thoughts, guys. Thank you. Thank you very much. The alien in the room is next. Again, from Broke Art Grad. I was around 5 and in my bed struggling to fall asleep. My parents were in the living room up the hall, and I had my bedroom door open with the hall light on to act as a sort of night light. I can remember tossing and turning and getting bored because I just wasn't tired. Oh, those are the worst nights. I have them every once in a while, and it's like, it's agonizing. Like, why am I not sleeping? I sit up, and there in the middle of my room is a silhouette of an alien. Thin body, huge head, small too, because it was eye level to me sitting in my bed. I couldn't see any features because of the light from the door behind this figure, but we stared at each other for what felt like ages. Very slowly, this thing moved close to me, lifting its arm, I can't remember which, and reached out as if to touch me. I remember blinking hard to see if I was dreaming, and then when I opened my eyes, it was gone. Nothing there. I stay sitting up in my bed listening for anything because I'm scared this thing is waiting for me in the hall. I had no fear at all when this whole experience was happening, but now I was terrified and sprinted up the hall to my parents, asking them who was in my room. Well, I'm 23 now, so I don't remember much past that, and we moved house a while later after I got seriously ill. Funny enough, the place we moved to had serious poltergeist problems, and I should submit some of those stories too, but I'll never forget seeing that figure inside of my room. That's a real strange thing, and it does bring up another phenomenon that happens. Brent, you look great in an artsy beret. Thanks, Warchild. I think this is kind of an artsy beret. Not really. I don't know what the hell you call these things. I love these hats, though. I like them. They kind of, you got the lid in the back. So let's see. What do you think? Is this better? That's a joke, by the way. I know it's not better, but that's how it looks. That's my artsy beret, but I wear it backwards. Okay, so the thing that I wanted to address was this phenomena that happens a lot with people when they do see, and I think it's only with intelligent spirits or beings. I don't think it's a residual thing at all, but I guess it could be. But that would be a whole nother train of thought that we'd have to get into. And I don't even know if it would make sense what I'm thinking about that. But what I do find really peculiar, and I've often wondered about this, is the phenomena where people are seeing a spirit or a being or whatever, and they see us, we see them, and we're just in this moment locking eyes. And it's like a staring thing. But then when people blink, it's just gone. And I often wondered what is going on in those situations. Is it akin to some kind of like quantum entanglement? Like maybe the spirits are locked in that moment as well, and they can only be visible as long as we're observing them, and they can't just boom fade. Now there are plenty of stories also where people are seeing spirits and they just fade away in front of them. But it is peculiar how it's like they're just there and staring at a person. The person is staring back, and like it's just this locked moment. But once the person blinks, boom, the moment is over, and there's nothing there. And so I wondered, is that like a quantum entanglement? Like something is locked into that moment. The being is locked with us in that one moment. And once we change it by, ending our observing of it, that frees it to go, or I don't know. Or is it possible that those are time anomalies? Like we've often covered stories where spirits are observed, but they looked like scared or surprised to see the people that are seeing them. And it seems like the people that are seeing them might be appearing as spirits to those people. And so it's actually a time issue where it's like this little bit of a opening happens between vibrations of time, and they're able to observe each other, and they're like, and the spirit's like, now there was an episode of Ghost Hunters, and I don't remember which episode, and I can't remember a lot about the details of it, but they were doing collecting EVPs, and they were in this bedroom. Now the story was kind of that it was a hotel that was built by a man and his wife, and they lived in the hotel as well. They had residents in this hotel, and essentially the woman the husband died much before the woman did, his wife. And so she lived there for years and years and years running the hotel and stuff. But then she eventually died but was allegedly haunting the place. Now, there was a moment when they were doing this EVP session, and you can look it up on YouTube. The clips are out there from Ghost Hunters when Jay and Grant were together doing it. But it was like the woman was like, they were like, "Can you hear us?" And the EVP was, "Of course I can hear you. Who are you?" And then it's like, they asked other questions. And the responses were almost like she was in her time answering back, like, "I can't see you. Where are you? Who are you? How are you talking to me?" And so it was just this strange but really fascinating EVP session that they were able to capture that really seemed like she was not, either just not aware she was dead and still living her life as though, it was continuing in her lifetime, or it was like there was an opening there where they were actually communicating back and forth into their respective timelines. And I think that's really fascinating. But maybe a name for it could be reactive residual entities. Yeah, but yeah, it could be. That's a fascinating name. I guess that could be. If we're going to coin new terms, that would be fantastic. I don't know that these are residual though, because residual hauntings and residual activity is just like footsteps that repeat over and over, or, an apparition that's seen looking out the window, maybe smoking a pipe, or a woman in a rocking chair looking out the window. It's like this moment in time. And we've certainly covered stories of residual hauntings, where the people that are appearing as apparitions in these places are actually still alive. One story, and I mention it all the time, but I'll mention it again for the sake of the narrative, was of a woman whose husband went over to Iraq to fight, and she was home pregnant. And she was expecting him to return any time, but suddenly she got the visit, the unfortunate visit that her husband, I think, was killed by an IED device while he was on his tour in Iraq or Afghanistan. But either way, he wasn't coming home, and she was devastated. So she was in this home that they bought together and expecting a child, and she just found out that she was going to be doing it alone. So she's mourning her husband. She's in all this pain, very pregnant, and she would go lean on the kitchen sink because it kind of supported her weight as she just stood there and sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. Well, she finally decided to sell the house, and so she moved out, got a new place. Somebody else moved in, but she came back and visited the neighbors and said, "Well, how's everything going?" "Everything's going good," because she was friends with them. And she said, "Well, how's the house working out for those new people?" And they said, "Well, it's really interesting because they claim that they continually see an apparition of a pregnant woman crying at the sink." Well, the woman is still alive, but something got recorded in that deep, despair. It imprinted on that environment, and so it's very, very odd. But make of that what you will. But pretty crazy. All right, let's see what we're doing for time here. I do want to get through this article, though. How much of this article is left? Let's just see. There's not too much. There's 2 more stories left, so let's get to this. This is illuminated humanoid in the middle of the river. Ooh. From I moo to you, my friend. I was a very young kid. My grandparents would take me to see family in a town in West Virginia, about a 45-minute drive away. One night when I was probably 6, we had stayed late and were coming back in the dark. Right after exiting the town, we drove by a river for a small while. I remember looking over the river, as I always did, and I saw this strange figure standing right in the middle. It was a fairly human shape, but it was glowing bright white, as if illuminated. My grandmother was very religious, so in my mind I ruled it as an angel without wings. But as I got older, I began to question it more and more and couldn't come up with any explanations. At first I wondered if it had been a reflection, but there were no lights near the river, and it couldn't have been light from a flashlight just due to the size. This wasn't my last explainable experience, but the next 2 had nothing to do with humanoids. I don't know what they mean explainable, but anyway, cool story. Yeah. This one is a personal demonic encounter. Eesh. But this is by JLL Futurina. So when I was about 12 years old, I was laying in bed on Christmas Eve. My bed was exactly opposite my large bedroom window, which gave me a view of the top of our property fence and a very large tree just beyond it. It was one of those weird nights where it seems to never truly get dark. The sky kept a red hue about it all night, and I was past the age of major Christmas excitement, so fell asleep pretty normally. Well, I woke up suddenly and fully alert. I was laying on my back when I opened my eyes, and they met another set of eyes outside, sitting in the tree beyond the fence, was what I can only describe as a demon. It's fully fixed on me and not moving. The eyes reminded me of a cat's, huge with elongated pupils, yellow and very iridescent. The body was not large, pretty lean, and dark, scaly skin, and it was sitting with its legs pulled up to its chest, kind of crouched. This visual has stayed with me so vividly for my entire life. Over 20 years have passed, and I can still see it like it was right in front of me. I felt scared and threatened inside of myself, and we maintained eye contact for what felt like a very long time. And I don't remember breaking eye contact, saying anything, or seeing it move. It seemed like I just fell back to sleep at some point, but kind of doubt that's how it really went. I wonder if I was hypnotized sometimes. Well, I awoke the next day and remembered it immediately, and I just knew that it wasn't a dream. It was far too real. I didn't say anything to my parents at this point because it was now Christmas Day, but I was sullen and it affected me greatly. Fast forward to the next Christmas Eve and early Christmas Eve, and every Christmas Eve that followed up until about the age of 18. I fainted every single Christmas Eve for at least 5 years. Fainting was not something I typically did. It was scary in itself, and always the same experience. I would feel the aura, begin to try to run away from it, insensible, faint, and hear symphony music and experience a coma state where I could hear the people around me trying to help me, but I just couldn't react. Eventually, I couldn't keep this secret anymore, and I was smart enough to make the connection that I saw this demon and since have fainted daily on the anniversary of it. I told my parents what I had seen years ago, expecting them to say I was silly, crazy, dreaming, and instead, they met me stony-faced, and I got to hear their stories. I will add those here as well if my situation draws attention. I'd love to know what anyone else thinks. Aside from my spouse, I've never talked about this before. Yeah, that's very strange. I don't know what to make of that, folks. That's creepy. But that's the stories. And we're going to stick to them. So that was a bunch of crazy humanoid experiences. I hope you guys enjoyed those. But now we're at the point of the show. I can now close this, I think. I guess I'll hold on to that. There might be other articles that are linked on the bottom that we should look at. But at any rate, let's see. We've got one more thing to do before the show is over. Even though we're already in overtime by 4 minutes. It's not a huge overtime, but it's overtime. I think overtime is good, right? We're going to go to our next segment of the show. Let me get everything queued up here. And I got to set this up a little bit. But let me do this first. I hope you're ready for the Trail Cam Terrors. All right, folks, so we're into the Trail Cam Terrors now. Now, here's an interesting event that happened, and it happened, I guess, in 2016. It's been around a while, and maybe many of you have already heard of this before, but I found it absolutely fascinating. And this story, or this video, actually comes from a YouTube channel, and it's called Exploring with Josh. It's a really cool channel where they do urban exploring and caving and spelunking, and I guess caving is spelunking, but I just sounded cool saying it. So, but they explore things. They just explore a lot of different things. And in this video, he and his group are exploring this cave. And what is absolutely bizarre is that they have to work quite a long time to get into this cave, and they're going through places where they actually have to squeeze through, and they're just barely making it. And there's nothing about this journey that's easy. I mean, it's just incredibly bizarre. But they get to a point in the cave, and they find something that you wouldn't expect to find. At this point, I'm going to roll the video. Let's see. I want to try to get to the point of where it happens. Yeah, this is literally seconds before you will find out what's going on in this video that makes it unusual. I'm not going to play the vocal because I really haven't talked to them about sharing their video. But I find this video absolutely phenomenal and scary and bizarre, and you'll see why in just a second. So let me just pull it up on screen so you guys are seeing it too. This is the video, and again, it's a deep underground cave, crawled in, found a little girl. They found this little girl, and this is allegedly filmed live as it was happening. So again, I don't know if there's more to this story, if there's been some kind of reveal where it was kind of staged or whatever, but I don't know. This really creeps me out because this little girl is back in the middle of nowhere in this really difficult part of the cave that I can't imagine she got into by herself, but you be the judge. So I guess I could play the I don't want to play the sound because I don't want to overstep it. I just want to talk about what we're seeing here. So they've gone through this whole journey. They're getting back into the cave. And lo and behold, I guess I kind of got to play a little bit.
Okay, I'm going to take out my phone, actually.
English?
I don't know.
You speak English? No English.
No?
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, come with us.
So you can see where this little girl is in this cave, and it's like uber creepy. It's like, how the hell did she get into this position in way back in a cave and as you watch this entire video, they really had to work their way to get back here. And suddenly there's this little girl standing in this little nook in this cave in complete darkness. Doesn't speak the language, has no idea. They don't have any idea how she got there. But it's plenty creepy. Yeah, well, I mean, she hasn't been down there for years. She's been down there for a day. What they find out later is that her parents were frantically looking for her up above. She just was suddenly gone. And so what I think of when I hear that is, I think of like David Paulides in Missing 411. It's like, here's this little girl, doesn't speak the language, look at her face. She's been crying. And that's what they heard as they were getting closer, is they heard this girl crying. And it really freaked them out. Yes, I saw this. Brooks says it was a cave where many people were there, and these guys found a nook. She had crawled through it and had gotten lost. Well, she got way lost because, as you can see on the journey, it was a hell of an adventure getting there. I don't know. I think it's absolutely fascinating. How did this little girl get there? And maybe I'm making a mountain out of a molehill. I don't know. I don't pretend to know everything that happened here, but this channel is not known for weird paranormal stuff. It's an urban exploration channel where they just check out weird things. So she got curious, maybe, but I don't know any kid that gets so curious that they crawl into the pitch blackness without a flashlight. I don't know. I never would have done it as a kid. I'd have been like, oh no, heck no, but maybe. So, yeah, I would love to hear that as well. So that was the video I wanted to share with you guys. Again, it's an unknown, but really weird, really bizarre. And you got to wonder, how did she get there? Maybe she did just wander back. Maybe she's a really brave kid. But if you've ever been underground in a cave, it's not like there's any ambient light at all. You are in absolute blackness. So if she saw a nook and kept going and going without seeing a thing, she may be the world's bravest little child ever. I'll bet maybe you did, Ruthie. I don't know. And it's not impossible, but obviously she got lost. And I can't imagine a bigger horror as a parent than suddenly you turn around, your kid is not there. I think that would be just horrendous. But anyway, that's today's Trail Cam Terrors. Maybe it's paranormal, maybe it's not. But it's certainly a horrible situation that at least has an incredibly happy ending because the kid got to go home. All right, folks. That's our journey here on the Paranormal Portal. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it was fun for you. It was fun for me, of course. Thank you too, Maggie. Of course, thank you guys. Ruthie said, I got in big trouble too. I'll bet as a parent, I can understand. That's the kind of fear that no parent ever wants to encounter as your kid is just suddenly gone. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what happened. You just know your kid's not there. And I can't imagine a bigger nightmare. Yeah, thank God they found her. Yeah, exactly. So that's tonight's Trail Cam Terror. Again, it's not really a trail cam. It's not even a security cam, but it was on cam, so it qualified. All right, guys, there won't be any regularly scheduled shows for the weekend. But again, if you're not subscribed, please get subscribed and ring the bell so that you know when we go live. And I'll be happy to have you join us as we're over at Squatch Fest in Kelso, Washington, going to the Squatch Fest. Going to go have a good time, I hope. But anyway, I hope you'll join us then, or at least catch it when you can. Otherwise, all I can tell you is I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other, help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. Good night, everybody. And all right, Brent, I'll send you that video. Thank you, Unknown. Unknown's been working on a new video segment for the shows, so I'm excited to get it up and show you guys. He's been doing some really cool things, so be great to showcase it when it comes in. Oh, thank you, Ruthie. I appreciate your commentary on it as well. Good night to all of you, and I will be back. I think we'll be back next Wednesday for the regular studio show with Don and I, but until then, tune in when we stream live, or tune in when you can. And if you need a portal fix, remember there's 1,024 episodes in our archives here on YouTube. So there's a lot of Paranormal Portal to enjoy. Even if we're not doing live shows, I'm sure there's episodes that most of you guys haven't seen. So hopefully you'll check them out and leave a comment. Leave a comment and a like before you go. I'd really appreciate it, or at least a like. And if you do check out into the archives, leave a like and a comment on those. But anyway, that's it. I love you guys. Have a great night, and we'll be seeing you this weekend when we stream live from Squatch Fest. Good night, everybody, and sweet dreams.